Welcome back to Kiwi Classics and Customs. We got this little darling 66 Fastback dropped off to us today. Customer just bought it from a local car yard. He's got a couple of little issues with it. Nothing too major, I don't think, but he wants us to have a look around the car and go over it and just make sure everything's as it needs to be. He loves old Mustangs, but he doesn't know that much about them. So he brought it to us and asked us to take care of it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to throw it up on the rack. It's got no e-brake. That's kind of the first things we're looking at. So we'll get to the bottom of that because it's a stick shift, 5-speed. So you really do need an e-brake. So yeah, let's get it on the rack, see what we got underneath. Here she is, up in the air. First thing that jumps out at you is someone's upgraded it to a 9-inch rear. It's a nice upgrade. It's got the 3-inch tubes all the way out. They don't taper down like the 8-inch, and obviously this pumpkin's a bit bigger. Someone's added traction bars to it. This is quite a nice bit of hardware. Underneath, it's in surprisingly good shape. It doesn't appear that the floors have even been patched at any point, which is, in all honesty, pretty unusual for a Mustang. They've usually rusted the floors out to some degree. Some worse than others, obviously, but this appears to be sporting all the original factory type spot welds where they're meant to be. There's no ugly overlaps, that kind of thing. It's in remarkably good shape. Yeah, a little bit of paint flake in here. Someone's painted all the underneath of it. My guess would be that this has been on a rotisserie. And they've painted the whole underside, and maybe just a little bit of lack of prep in a couple of spots. But really, that's I'd rather have a little bit of flaking paint than floor pans falling out, So have to give this one a pass on its structure. It's all there, it's solid. We haven't got any rush repairs to do, so it's kind of nice. It's had a 5-speed T5 in it added to it. You can see the aftermarket tubular cross member here. The e-brake cable, that's probably your first clue. There's just a whole lot of slack here. This is coming way out further than it should do, so I'm guessing this has got disconnected inside. So we can address that. Shouldn't be a big problem. We got some oil leaks, but this era of car has oil leaks. It's just part of the territory. So there's nothing that bad. It's a little wet here, but it's not something it's not bad enough you'd start pulling the engine to fix it at this point. It's got an aluminum radiator. That's nice. We don't actually know what engine's in it, and the customer didn't seem too sure about what engine was in it. So could be a 289, 302, 331, 347. Who knows? We'll kind of get an idea when we drive it, I think, as to how much get up and go it's got. But this, I would say, is a pretty darn good car. So let's drop it down. We do have an issue with the accelerator pedal. It's really stiff and it's really short. You've got about 1 inch of pedal movement to give you idle to full throttle. It has a fairly grabby clutch, so you put those two together and it's very easy to look like an amateur and be bunny hopping around the car park, trust me. So we need to work out what's going on with the accelerator, get it a longer travel on the pedal so you have more control, and we'll go from there. So yeah, let's drop it down, Barry. It's a pleasant little surprise. You open the hood and here's this little sparkly gem hiding under here. Someone's added the export brace to it, obviously twin 4 barrels, twin Edelbrocks. First thing I noticed is electric choke is wired to this point here, which is normally the supply for the ignition, and that's only hot when you're cranking. So yeah, the electric choke's not going to be working. That's an easy fix. But yeah, pretty nice looking under here. We just got to look at the way the accelerator cable's hooked up, see if we can't make that a little easier, make it a bit nicer to drive. But everything's kind of really pretty much in order under here. Yeah, not a bad little car. Not a bad little car. Probably the one thing that really lets it down is it's still drum brakes. It's got factory drum brakes all around. But the customer is talking about doing an upgrade to Woolworths, going 4-wheel discs on it, which would be an excellent upgrade on this. One would assume the car's going to go fairly well. I haven't really driven it other than in the door, but if it goes like it looks, it's going to be too much for the drum brakes. So yeah, let's get to work on this. Dot a couple of I's, cross a couple of T's, get this thing a little more manageable to drive, and see how it goes. Oh. Okay, so we've been working on this throttle linkage accelerator cable. It was just so hard to push. So what I've done is I've shortened the cable. We've taken kind of that much out of the outer cable. It was just like winding around the place. It just didn't need to be that long. So we've got a nice soft curve in the cable coming up to here. I've moved, this is a progressive linkage on the Edelbrocks. Now, this piece here is that's the end of the throttle cable. That was hooked on here. So we moved it out to here and we're pulling directly on the linkage. And that just gives you a little bit more leverage over, that's your axis point. So as you pull here, the further away from the axis point, the easier it is to pull. So we moved it from there up to there. We're just going to screw that back into there. Just got to cut a little bit of cable off and we can get that done. So we'll pop that in there. Now I've done a similar thing on the pedal inside. We've actually put the pickup point on the pedal closer to the axis point on the pedal. So we've reversed the leverages. So now we've got more travel in the pedal to get the same amount of movement here, which means it's easier. It's kind of like hydraulics in a way. But now that that's in there, the throttle pedal should be a whole lot better. So let's scoot around and have a look. So this is the acid test. Let's see, like you needed a lot of leg power to push this thing down before. So now I can just do that. And you've got a nice long stroke of the accelerator pedal. So, you can drive it at like idle, quarter throttle, half throttle, 3/4 throttle, full throttle. So you got control over the movement and it's so much smoother now. So that's a fix. Moving on to the e-brakes that wasn't working. One, you could pull on the cables and one side was kind of working, one really wasn't. We popped off the drums and the wheel cylinders are frozen solid, like they're just rusty inside them. Have we got them around here, Barry?
Yes.
So yeah, investigating the lack of e-brake, we realised it was a lack of rear brakes as well. And this one of the wheel cylinders off it, you can kind of see the grunge in there. And it's frozen solid. I can't move it. That was holding the brake shoe out and it's worn the brake shoe a little bit. So we're going to get some new wheel cylinders and see if we can't get that e-brake working. We're probably going to upgrade this car to Woolwood rears as well as fronts. So I'm going to spend a lot of time and money on these, but we've got to get them functional in the meantime because 6 weeks to get brakes from Woolwood. So the guy wants to drive it, which is fair enough. So we just need to get it operational and keep going. But yeah, we're wrapping up for the day. We're going to get this, brakes on it, brakes bled, a couple of other things. We've got to put a relay on the electric fan. For whatever reason, they just set up the electric fan on a switch under the dash that you've got to remember to turn on. And of course, sometimes you forget and they overheat. It's not a good idea. We're getting a proper little sender unit that'll go in the engine and we'll send a signal to the fan to turn on when it's supposed to, so you don't have to think about it, which is the safest way to do it. So we're going to get that done. We'll come back when we've got that done, take you guys for a test drive, see how it goes. All right, you guys have a great evening. See ya.